Chapter 781 Inches. What kind of race is that? Why did they disguise themselves as us? The people on the land were surprised as soon as they saw the evil spirit race. They had never seen something like that before, and they realized that it wasn't a human race or even a sea monster. If they disguised themselves as a human, it was obvious that they were up to no good. Any race would be proud to show anyone their race's features. After the Mermaid Queen realized that Tianyun was only killing the evil spirit race, she was relieved as it turned out Tianyun didn't have any intention to become a dictator. She knew that a dictator wouldn't have a good ending. While many dictators might possess great power, people wouldn't be satisfied by whatever they did. Thus, it would always lead to rebellion. The cultivators' faces were pale as they realized an unknown race had infiltrated their lives without them knowing what their goal was, but Tianyun didn't care. He immediately raised his hand, and the 8 golden hairpin immediately rushed towards the crowds with their weapons. Their cultivation level might not be that high, but they had heaven-level martial arts and a sacred tool, which made them invincible against anyone on the island. In the blink of an eye, they started killing, followed by wails and screams among the crowds. But, once everyone saw the dead body, they realized that none of them was human. The beautiful girls were only hunting the non-human amidst the group of people, not the actual human. Run! Escape! Someone shouted from somewhere among the crowd, followed by some people that started running in different directions. Where did you plan to go? Tianyun said as he grabbed the hand of one fleeing cultivator. Let me go. You are a hypocrite. I might not be the same race as you, but you are still killing innocent people. The man shouted as he couldn't escape Tianyun's grasp. They still resisted Tianyun as much as they could and still trying their hardest to depict Tianyun as some tyrant so that all the cultivators on the island would judge Tianyun and spread the news to everyone in the mortal world. But it didn't work. The 8 golden hairpins relentlessly hunted the evil spirit race, exposing their true appearance to everyone else. An innocent race. Don't you ever start your bullshit with me. Tianyun coldly said before he broke the neck of the man he held. The man immediately turned back to his original evil spirit race appearance as his power to disguise himself was undone as his life was gone. The people on the island were in a huge uproar. They didn't understand why this unknown race was disguising themselves as human. Furthermore, it was clear that this unknown race was trying to incite them and pit them against Heavenly Cloud's Emperor. Furthermore, their trust towards Tianyun solidified as he demonstrated that he didn't just go on killing anyone brutally without any proper reason. They are an alien race called Evil Spirit Race. Their innate ability is brutal as they could devour any race they want to cultivate. Tianyun said solemnly towards the Devil Cloud City's residents. Their goal is to dominate the 3 realms so that they could turn all humans and other races inside the 3 realms into their resources. Tianyun said coldly. Now, tell them what you had done on this island. Tell them everything, whoever it is that you have killed and devoured. Be sure to tell them one by one. Tianyun said as he captured another evil spirit race that tried to escape. He used his eye of charm to make sure that the evil spirit race would tell the truth. We are going to capture some cultivators a strong innate ability and devour some other people to raise our cultivation. I have devoured Lu Meng and an 8-year-old child before. They were very delicious. I also had devoured Sen Yu that has a good cultivation level. The man said as he told everyone what happened in the past. You devoured the Forest Brothers. No wonder they were gone without leaving any trace behind, one of the people of Devil Cloud's City shouted angrily. He even ate children. What a beast. I didn't expect these people ate children, another said disgustedly. It was obvious that the evil spirit race wasn't a good race, so they didn't feel any sympathy toward them. The people started to talk about the demons and evil spirit race, while some suddenly recalled a myth about alien demons that invaded the mortal world in the past. They remembered that the demons were repelled by the 3 divine kings with the help of Mermaid Clan and some other clans from the 3 realms. They realized the reason why Heavenly Cloud's Emperor protected the Mermaid Clan from trafficking. They immediately realized that Tianyun didn't have any intention to become a tyrant too. You might not understand how I do things, but I do things for the sake of the people I love, and because of that, I will do anything to make sure the realms are safe for them. Now that some of you know the true history of the world, you should know that the evil spirit race wasn't a race that you should protect. Tianyun said solemnly. Tianyun still believed that the people in mortal world and the other 2 realms should want to protect the realms from the evil spirit race as soon as they knew what terrible things the evil spirit race could do towards anyone. He knew that the big battle would take place soon, so he had to pick up the pace and let everyone know about the danger and disaster evil spirit race would bring. Chapter 782. Everyone in Devil Cloud City was left speechless on the spot as they didn't know what to say to the scene unfolding before them. So, this evil spirit race has been hiding among us and devouring our race for a long time. Doesn't it mean that a partner that you have trusted your whole life might have been actually a demon trying to devour you? One of the cultivators said, shattering the silence. Tianyun just nodded as he knew that it might be too much for all these people right now. Tianyun knew that the cultivator here might have some relationship with the evil spirit race that he just killed, as they might have helped each other in the past, like hunting demon beast, for example. That is not the only thing you should consider. There's a possibility that evil spirit race came from the outside world. It was highly likely that Heaven World and Ghost World quite possibly were already swarmed by these guys. Tianyun said casually. He knew that he could easily find the evil spirit race on this island alone, but he wanted to spread awareness for these people. Devil Cloud City had cultivators from so many factions of mortal world. They might be from the nearby Water Dragon Empire, the previously destroyed Heaven Primordial Empire, or any other empire. They were there, exiling themselves as they felt pressure from the empire or because their empire has been destroyed. They had the potential to pass on the news quicker as they would eventually go to their respective empire or during trading with another city around here. But the most important thing was that they had seen the evil spirit race for themselves. Therefore, they didn't need any other proof, and once Tianyun spread the news to the entire mortal world, everyone else would have no choice but to believe it too. I will ask you now, are you willing to follow my lead and exterminate these demons from our home? Are you willing to drive out these demons to ensure the safety of our loved ones? Tianyun asked solemnly. Tianyun gave them some time to let it sink in as he waited for their answer. He knew that most of them still couldn't take in everything that just happened, so he waited patiently. But he didn't have to wait for long as someone immediately shouted and waved his hands enthusiastically. Count me in. My best friend suddenly disappeared a long time ago, but now I suspect that he was devoured by those demons, the man said determinedly. After that, more and more people followed suit and shouted that they would eradicate all of the evil spirit race from mortal world. Heavenly Cloud's great emperor. Can I join your Heavenly Cloud's empire? I want to build up my strength so I can wipe out the evil spirit race too. Someone suddenly asked Tianyun a question that he didn't expect, especially from this group of people. Of course. There is no problem at all. I am very happy to welcome all of you to join Heavenly Cloud's empire. Tianyun said with a bright smile on his face. Everyone immediately shouted excitedly after hearing Tianyun's word, but there were some people among them that still looked at Tianyun with disdain. Tianyun clearly noticed it, but he knew that he couldn't force everyone to believe in what he said. He would try his best to unite the mortal world, but if some of them chose a different path, he wouldn't be mad about it. After all, once the demon was defeated, he wouldn't be responsible for these people any longer. He only encouraged the empire-size faction to join his alliance. As for the other small faction, they could choose to do what they want for themselves. If Tianyun also tried to encourage the small faction, he wouldn't have time for preparing the battle to come as there were too many factions here. On the mortal world. Ding. Completed the achievement Worshipper Reward. 1.000 command points, 1 billion EXP, 100.000 CPs. Tianyun was surprised that he was suddenly got an achievement without even trying. He didn't expect any of these people to worship him as he only said a few words. But still, it was great that he received experience point without even trying. Especially the command points, now he could easily give an order to many people without trying to convince them first. I told you that young master would pull it off. Lan Qingling said proudly to the mermaid people. The queen nodded along as she was worried about Tianyun for a second back there. She was afraid that Tianyun couldn't contain his emotion and resorted to force. But clearly, Tianyun was able to make a calm decision on his own. Although the mermaid clan despised humans, they knew that they would eventually have to work together with them as Tianyun was also a human. But as they saw how things went, the mermaids knew that the human wouldn't try to do them harm now as they have started to remember the old legend about heaven creating Divine King and the mermaid clan that helped the Divine Kings to defeat the demons. After the people settled down, Tianyun ordered the mermaid clan to drag the heaven ascending divine altar once more, and this time, without any obstruction. Heaven ascending divine altar finally reinstated in its rightful place. A ray of light immediately shone from the top of heaven ascending divine altar as soon as it was returned to its original position. Now, the only thing left to do for Tianyun was to fix any deteriorated divine rune inside heaven ascending divine altar so that it could be used once more. Now it's just a matter of time before evil spirit race completely extinct from mortal world. Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Chapter 783. After heaven ascending divine altar stabilized, the golden light swept through the entire Devil Clouds Island. But the people on the island didn't think much of it as they know that it was Tianyun's doing. The only thing on their mind was that the evil spirit race had devoured a lot of cultivators, and most of them didn't have any idea that the evil spirit race existed. At the same time, Tianyun returned to Devil Clouds City and immediately delivered the news that anyone might enter heaven ascending divine altar for cultivation. They cheered excitedly as they never thought that Tianyun would let anyone inside heaven ascending divine altar. But the truth was that heaven ascending divine altar was nothing but an empty place as its only purpose was for teleportation between realms and cultivation. There was absolutely no prized treasure inside. That also applied to the heaven ascending divine altar in both heaven world and ghost world. But of course, anyone that entered heaven ascending divine altar had to make sure that the place was taken care of. As long as they didn't cause trouble in heaven ascending divine altar, there should be no problem. At the same time, he also gave additional information that those who wanted to join Heavenly Cloud's empire would immediately get to use a training manual that, in a sense, was similar to strong martial arts. Ding! Successfully formed an alliance with Myriad Horse Empire. Reward: 2 billion EXP, 100.000 CPs, 100.000 Mastery Point. Tianyun got the notification that Heavenly Cloud's empire has successfully secured another empire to join their alliance. This was the second time he got this notification, but he believed it wouldn't be the last. During his time on Devil Clouds Island, Tianyun forged many necklaces with the ability to distinguish the evil spirit race from any normal person. To make sure that the necklace would glow if it got close to any evil spirit race, Tianyun only needed to mix a little drop of evil spirit race's blood to the necklace in the refining process. Luckily, he has already killed so many evil spirit race and extracted their blood for this sole purpose. The necklace, however, didn't have any other use except for distinguishing the evil spirit race from other races as it wasn't some spirit tool, let alone greater. It was just an ordinary iron necklace without any other material mixed in. That was why Tianyun was able to create so many in a short amount of time. He did all this to hasten his goal to completely rid the evil spirit race from mortal world. After all, it was his main quest. It was too difficult to kill them on his own as he had to travel around mortal world to do so. As Tianyun was busy refining necklace, the information about evil spirit race has spread out of Devil Clouds Island quickly. Many people were shocked to hear such news as they never expected such a disgusting demon to live among them. But thanks to that news, many empire immediately joined Heavenly Clouds Empire's alliance as they began to panic that their empire has been invaded by such disgusting creatures. They needed Heavenly Cloud's Emperor's help to get rid of these monsters. They needed a lot of the iron necklace to make sure that there was no evil spirit race among them. Ding! Successfully formed an alliance with Soaring Empire. Reward: 2 billion EXP, 200.000 CPs, 200.000 Mastery Points. Ding! Successfully formed an alliance with Magnificent Clouds Empire. Reward: many empire has joined the alliance along with other small factions. They weren't even an empire that Heavenly Clouds Empire was actively seeking to recruit either, but they were still welcomed wholeheartedly nonetheless. Meanwhile, Tianyun kept refining batch after batch of necklaces in a hurry to meet the demand from the alliances. At first, he forged around 10.000 pieces of necklace every day, then he increased his speed and made around 20.000 even 30.000 necklaces every day. It was fortunate that Tianyun didn't use any other material for refining such amount of item as profound iron ore was easy to find. Many factions decided to join Heavenly Clouds Empire's alliances solely because of the existence of this necklace. At first, these factions were hesitating as they didn't really know the motive behind the alliance that Heavenly Clouds Empire formed. If Heavenly Clouds Empire's goal were to dominate the entire mortal world, the faction around wouldn't give in so easily. Some factions were still hesitating about joining the alliances, but they soon relented to their people's demand as various news about the evil spirit race popping up on the empire that has joined alliances with Heavenly Cloud's empire. They discovered the evil spirit race in their midst, and once they killed the so-called evil spirit race, they turned into some demon. That was all the evidence that the faction needed to figure out that the news about evil spirit race was the truth. Tianyun himself didn't know much about what was happening in other empires as he was focused on refining the necklace and leveling up his blacksmith mastery. After a while, he successfully leveled up his blacksmithing technique to Grandmaster level. It was rare for someone to reach the Grandmaster level so fast in the mortal world. But Tianyun was happy nonetheless as he didn't have to run around, searching for the evil spirit race. His method to leave the purge to other empires was the right decision. He finally stopped refining the necklace after a month and having more than hundreds of thousands of these iron necklaces. He only sent a few hundred necklaces for each empire instead of distributing them to the empires across the mortal world. Although he wanted to purge the evil spirit race from mortal world, he didn't have to go that far. After all, the mortal world wasn't as big as heaven world and ghost world. Ding! Congratulations to player Tianyun for successfully break through to 7th layer Saint King stage. Tianyun immediately smiled excitedly as soon as he saw the notification that he had breakthrough to the next level. Chapter 784. After refining an absurd amount of necklace, Tianyun took the golden hairpins back to Heavenly Cloud's empire, while the mermaid clan were to keep in touch and stay in the ocean to make sure that the ocean was safe from evil spirit race's influences. At the same time, Heaven Ascending Divine Altar has become a place for so many cultivators to cultivate safely and peacefully without any intrusion. Thanks to Tianyun's word, no one dared to touch the mermaid clan now. The fear of getting killed because of disobeying Tianyun's word was far more potent than the possibility of obtaining a lot of gold from selling the mermaid to the slave market. Tianyun had to turn it into a law as he knew that the mermaid clan was weak now, and they wouldn't stand a chance if they were kidnapped one after another. After returning to Heavenly Cloud's empire, Tianyun appointed the 12 golden hairpins as the royal guards. He even ordered Yue to become their mentor to make sure that they could grow stronger efficiently. Although they were in charge of the royal protection, they were free to roam to the allied empire to search for evil spirit race on their own. As Tianyun's divine general in the future, these 12 girls were absolutely loyal to Tianyun. Although Yue wasn't a divine general, she was also absolutely loyal to Tianyun. The only difference was that Yue was more like a family to Tianyun than an actual part of the empire. She was a confidant to Tianyun, so in a matter of perspective, Yue might have a closer relationship with Tianyun. I have to go back to Ghost World soon. Tianyun said as he didn't have to do much on Mortal World now. He wanted to look for ancient Netherworld Divine King's descendants and treasures so that he could create a union for the 3 realms to fight the demons in the future. Although he could just do it alone in the future if he leveled up enough, he knew that so many innocent people would be killed if he was that selfish. He could take care of the demons, but the evil spirit race in the 3 realms would wreak havoc without anyone knowing how to handle them. After all, Tianyun couldn't be everywhere at the same time. He couldn't endanger the people he loved like that. He already promised that they wouldn't have to endure any hardship, so he was adamant about creating this union. Plus, Tianyun knew that he would get a lot of experience if he successfully formed an alliance with the Divine Nation as he got an ample amount of EXP just from forming an alliance with an empire alone. I will get a lot of experience if I can persuade a Divine Nation to join the alliance. Tianyun said with excitement in his eyes. Tianyun knew that he could use Sealing Heaven Divine Nation's influence to persuade other Divine Nations in Heaven World to join the alliance, but he wasn't too sure what he would do in Ghost World. Without absolute power, like Sealing Heaven Divine Nation in Heaven World, factions in Ghost World would hesitate to accept the alliances. Regardless of that, Tianyun knew that he must go to Ghost World first. Tianyun arrived at Ghost World, and the environment was still the same. He immediately flew towards Heavenly Netherworld. It was a remote region on Ghost World where the coldest temperature existed, far away from Heavenly Netherworld Divine Nation. It was a place where even Spirit Core Cultivator would immediately freeze and become a statue right after stepping foot into this place. But this place was actually where ancient Netherworld Divine King built his own faction in the past. But, after the decline of power, ancient Netherworld Divine King's faction crumbled as most likely, the people couldn't stand living in this hazardous environment any longer. Some old faction in Ghost World did knew that ancient Netherworld Divine King's faction once lied there, but they mostly didn't care about it now. Even with Yi Tianyun's amazing speed, it still took him half a month to reach Heavenly Netherworld as it was the most remote region in Ghost World. He immediately felt a piercing cold on his own skin, and he was actually surprised that ancient Netherworld Divine King even thought about using this region to build his faction. The entire place was covered with ice and snow, and it was 10 times more intense than the coldest area that he ever visited before. Yi Tianyun could see that heavenly yin fire floating in the air, and even some of it was seen on the ground. This was definitely a birthplace for the heavenly yin fire. It was a dream location for those that used heavenly yin fire, but if not controlled carefully, anyone would be frozen as soon as the fire touched them. Yi Tianyun could even see many unfortunate souls have been frozen solid on the ground. Even some demon beast could also be seen frozen on the ground, clearly couldn't handle the cold that the place had to offer. In addition to that, a tall tower could be seen far in the center of the region. It was a tower that went straight to the sky. It had to be a terrifyingly tall tower as Yi Tianyun could see it clearly even from afar. Yi Tianyun immediately realized that the tower must be related to ancient Netherworld Divine Nation. It might even be the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation itself. Yi Tianyun used his appraisal eye and was startled as he immediately found out what he was seeing. Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower, a magic weapon left to the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. A high-grade divine tool. This is the first time that Yi Tianyun saw a high-grade divine tool even after wandering the three realms. Chapter 785 inches. This is the great ancient Netherworld Divine Tower. Yi Tianyun said, disbelieving the huge tower he saw in front of him. Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower, high-grade divine tool. The tower's size could be adjusted with a strong aura. The same could be said to everything inside the tower. Once the tower was reduced in size, everything inside would also reduce in size accordingly. The tower's ability affects any living being, and any cultivator inside would also follow the same precedent. The tower has a set of rules that the controller has control over. Those that disobey the rules would be punished severely. It was undoubtedly a powerful divine tool. This tower could imprison any enemy with ease, and no one could resist its effect. Ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was a divine tool that was created by Sealing Heaven Divine King combined with the blood essence of ancient Netherworld Divine King. Sealing Heaven Divine King must have used countless precious materials to build this place too. Sealing Heaven Divine King and ancient Netherworld Divine King must have built this place with sealing the demon away in mind. This place was also the key location where the demon originally came into this world too. In essence, this place was closely related to a gate of some sort. So if another demon tried to invade this world, they would be trapped inside the tower, and if they tried to force their way out, the tower would immediately punish them, and from the sound of it, it wasn't something nice for sure. At the same time, ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was also the palace of ancient Netherworld Divine Nation. The people must have been gone not long after ancient Netherworld Divine King left this world and eventually stopped controlling the tower. With no one left to control the tower, it gradually lost power, or something happened that caused the cultivator of ancient Netherworld Divine Nation unable to hold this place afloat. Thinking back again, it was a very peculiar incident because this place was supposed to be a safe haven. But Yi Tianyun was determined to know the truth of this place. He was even determined to find ancient Netherworld Divine King's descendant to make sure that ancient Netherworld Divine King's bloodline still existed in this world. It was a little bit unfortunate that the area around the tower was under the effect of strict rules. Even if Yi Tianyun was at 7th layer Saint King stage, he still couldn't go against the no-flying rule. But it was a given, Yi Tianyun was in the presence of the strongest divine tool he ever encountered. Even a Saint King like him wouldn't be able to do much here. Although if Yi Tianyun released all his power, he might be as strong as Divine King, it was just an estimation of his combat power. After all, he never really went up against a true Divine King before. But then again, Yi Tianyun was curious what might happen if he went all out here. If I release all my power, I should be able to fly here. Yi Tianyun wondered and immediately released his aura, but he refrained from flying. He worried that some survivor of ancient Netherworld Divine Nation was still around and mistook him for an enemy. He didn't see anyone with his appraisal eye, but there was no telling if someone was hiding. After all, the evil spirit race people successfully hid in the three realms for so long. Furthermore, the ancient netherworld divine nation's cultivators were supposed to have ice attribute cultivation. Therefore, this place was like a playground for them. Tianyun walked towards ancient netherworld divine tower while constantly looking around, and soon enough, he encountered a group of people that seemed to head towards the same way as him. He observed them from afar and noticed that they were at the spirit core stage, so he didn't need to be wary of them. However, they didn't seem to be the survivor of ancient netherworld divine nation either. Tianyun was curious, so he walked towards the group of people to inquire about some information. Fellas, are you planning to go to ancient netherworld divine nation too? Tianyun asked politely. The group immediately grew vigilant as soon as they heard some random guy trying to start a conversation with them. They assessed Tianyun immediately and frowned as they saw that Tianyun didn't wear proper clothes for the extreme cold as they did. Indeed, we are going to ancient netherworld divine nation. Is there anything wrong? One of the men on the group said politely. They immediately realized that Tianyun wasn't someone they were supposed to mess with as they saw that he wasn't wearing anything warm. May I know why you come here? Ancient netherworld divine nation has long gone, hasn't it? Tianyun asked curiously. It was a long story. I am afraid we can't say it out loud, so why don't you come closer, said a core transformation stage cultivator. Tianyun shrugged and walked closer towards the group. Yes, that's it, come on closer, the cultivator said with a smile on his face. But as Tianyun was already close enough, the core transformation stage cultivator suddenly drew his sword and swung his sword at Tianyun's neck. It was a swift attack, but fortunately, Tianyun was faster. Did you take me for a fool? I just want to ask you a question, but you turn your blade on me. Tianyun said coldly. He then grabbed the core transformation cultivator's hand and smashed him to the ground. Tianyun knew that casually exchanging information in the open wasn't always a good idea, but he didn't expect they'd attack him out of nowhere like this. My hands, the core transformation cultivator shouted in pain. The other cultivators from the group immediately rushed forward to save their leader, but Tianyun kicked them aside. But the force of his kick successfully killed all of them easily. I am sorry, the core transformation cultivator shouted in horror as he saw that his companions were killed with ease. I don't have any intention to hear anything you have to say now. Tianyun said indifferently. You are clearly a group of bandits anyway. Tianyun said coldly. How did you know I would attack you earlier? The core transformation stage cultivator said as he was confident in his speed. You are a fool. I didn't have any intention to harm you earlier, but once you attacked me, there is no turning back. I didn't know who you are, but it doesn't matter now. Tianyun said coldly. Tianyun then kicked the core transformation stage cultivator, ending his life. He didn't wait for any other words coming from the cultivator's mouth as none of it would be useful either way. Chapter 786. Tianyun already knew to some extent that they were up to no good, but he still wanted to approach them for the benefit of the doubt. But it turned out it was all for naught all as these people still choose to attack him. Tianyun sighed as killing these people didn't even yield any experience for him right now. Are they trying to go to ancient netherworld divine tower or are they trying to avoid it? Tianyun said as he tried to guess where these people were heading. He knew that the ancient netherworld divine tower gave off dangerous vibe that made it hard for people to come close. But these bandits might know that no one was at the tower and thus tried their luck to use the tower as their base. They didn't have to enter the tower to make it their base. If there was really no one inside the tower, they could just use some corner near the base of the tower and settle there. The more dangerous the place was, the safer it was. According to the dangerous zone list that he got from the Phoenix clan in the past, ancient netherworld divine tower was ranked the most dangerous of all places in Ghost World. This place was covered with so much netherworld's fire and heavenly yin fire that it couldn't be easily avoided anymore. It was safe to say that those who came here unprepared would freeze to death. Although it was such a dangerous territory, many people still tried to come there to search for treasures that might be left behind by ancient netherworld divine nation before their disappearance. It was rumored that many divine tools and top-notch martial arts were left behind in the tower. But unfortunately for Ghost World's cultivators, no one has been able to break into the tower no matter how strong they were. But after knowing the reality of ancient netherworld divine tower, Tianyun knew that the tower couldn't be trespassed like that. According to Sealing Heaven Divine King's memories, the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower would only open to those who bore the seal of ancient Netherworld Divine King or cultivators that had his bloodlines. This was an absolute rule, as the purpose of the tower was to suppress and weaken the evil spirit race and the demon. If this place fell to the wrong hand, evil spirit race might end up conquering the three realms. Then again, many people still foolishly come to the tower, hoping that they would be able to conquer the tower for themselves, but sadly perished under the harsh environment. As time went by, the notoriety of this place finally made cultivators hesitate to challenge it, but there were some rare occasions where cultivators would come there out of desperation or, like the group earlier, crime. Tianyun looked around and he saw that there were several other groups that already noticed his presence but didn't have what it took to come close. It was obvious that they were scared of Tianyun after what he has done earlier, but Tianyun didn't care. These people surely didn't hold any information he wanted. He knew that the best thing that he could do right now was to reach ancient Netherworld Divine Tower himself. So, without hesitation, Tianyun rushed over to the tower. He noticed that the tower was getting even bigger as he got closer to it. At the same time, Tianyun also noticed that the tower was actually surrounded by a huge city. Tianyun wondered how many cultivators did the city shelter at its prime time. This ancient Netherworld Divine Tower is surely a grand palace for a divine nation. Tianyun said in awe as he looked around the city and the tower itself. As he got closer to the tower, he saw two huge chains in the side of the tower and several cultivators that tried to climb them. Tianyun also saw that there was a door at the end of the chains. It seemed that door was the entrance of this divine tower, making entry a little bit complicated than he thought. The chains itself seemed like a test, as Netherworld's fire was constantly discharged from the chain and froze any unfortunate soul that couldn't dodge it well enough. It was actually very hard thing to do, as the cultivator must be able to either resist or suppress the Netherworld's fire so that the Netherworld's fire wouldn't harm them. If they didn't have anything in that regard, they wouldn't be able to go up. After walking towards the chains, Tianyun saw that a figure was dropping fast from the sky. He quickly caught the cultivator before they met their doom, and Tianyun noticed that the cultivator was wrapped in black robe. He couldn't see the cultivator's appearance, but he let them down to the ground gently. "Thank you very much, kind sir," the cultivator said sweetly. From the sound of it, the cultivator that Tianyun had just saved was a woman. After expressing her gratitude, the woman climbed the chain once more, not bothering to rest at all. Tianyun frowned as soon as he saw what the woman was doing. He didn't understand what the woman was doing, climbing the chain recklessly like this. But he calmed himself down and observed the woman again using his appraisal eye. Fan Shuixuan, 7th layer spirit core cultivator with ancient Netherworld Divine King bloodline. She is the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. Tianyun was startled by the information he got from the appraisal eye. The appraisal eye could see the cultivator's bloodline, but it got a little complicated in evil spirit race cases. They could have several bloodlines at once, so the appraisal eye could give inaccurate data because of that. Tianyun looked around and tried to see others' bloodline, but none of them had ancient Netherworld Divine King's bloodline like the woman earlier. As he frowned and observed Fan Shuixuan closely, he noticed that the woman's hand was blue, clearly from frostbite. But she still climbed the chains diligently no matter how difficult it was. She obviously lacked the cultivation base needed to clear this challenge by herself. Fortunately, the Netherworld's fire didn't seem to have any effect on her, but the climbing itself was tough. Tianyun saw all of this as strange, as he didn't understand why would the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King have to climb the chain to enter the tower. Wouldn't she be able to enter easily with her bloodline? "I have to make my way up there. I have to get our things back," Fan Shuixuan said while gritted her teeth in determination. But she didn't climb the chain very far before she fell down once again. She tried to grip the chain desperately, but her palm slipped due to her blood that covered her hands. Tianyun's frowns became clearer as he admired Fan Shuixuan's determination. But her action was still too reckless to deserve a compliment. Chapter 787. Fan Shuixuan didn't stop even after her failed attempt. She planned to keep going without rest, as she was afraid that she would never be able to climb the tower. Although she managed to avoid injuries after Tianyun saved her earlier, he wasn't able to save her this time, as she wasn't that far up the chain. "Need any help?" Tianyun said as he walked over and extended his hand for Fan Shuixuan. "No, thank you for your kindness, but I can do it myself." Besides, if you take another cultivator on your back, the chain would amplify its power, making it harder for the cultivators to climb. Fan Shuixuan said with determination to climb the chain. She then climbed the tower once again without showing her face to Yi Tianyun. Are you not the descendant of ancient netherworld divine king? Yi Tianyun suddenly asked curiously. Fan Shuixuan was startled and jumped down the chain before standing in front of Yi Tianyun once again. Who are you? Fan Shuixuan asked vigilantly as she didn't know where the man in front of her received that information. But Yi Tianyun immediately noticed that the woman definitely knew that she was a descendant of ancient netherworld divine king. He already knew that Fan Shuixuan wasn't evil spirit race as he bought along the iron necklace with him, but it didn't glow red. I just took a guess there. This is after all, where ancient netherworld divine nation once stood. So, the descendant of ancient netherworld divine king should he hear of all places. Yi Tianyun said casually. He couldn't reveal that he had appraisal eye as it was something that would break the order around the three realms. How is that possible? I am not the descendant of ancient netherworld divine king. Stop spouting nonsense. Fan Shuixuan said as she gritted her teeth in frustration. Well, it seems you have an innate ability to ignore those netherworld's fire. That alone was a good enough proof that ancient netherworld divine king's blood runs through you. Yi Tianyun said casually. You don't know what you are talking about. I don't have time to deal with crazy people. I am going up now. Fan Shuixuan said coldly as she climbed the chain once more. Wait, I heard that once you got into the tower you won't be able to get out again, is that true? Yi Tianyun asked curiously. That is not true. Whoever saying it to you is a weakling. You can get out as long as you meet certain conditions. Fan Shuixuan indifferently said as she continued making her way up. She didn't climb that fast, but she was definitely determined. But, determination alone didn't seem to be enough as she lose her grip once more and immediately fall, but someone caught her midair before she hit the ground. You again, Fan Shuixuan said as she realized that it was the same young man that saved her earlier. Let me go. If you keep this up, the netherworld's fire will freeze you, she said worriedly. Sure enough, her warning became a reality as many netherworld's fire suddenly appeared before Yi Tianyun. Under normal circumstances, netherworld's fire would only attack several times, but as Yi Tianyun was bringing an extra along the way, the netherworld's fire came out more frequently. It's fine, I will take you up there. Yi Tianyun said indifferently. At the same time, the laughter of the cultivators down on the ground could be heard as they saw how silly it was to bring another person along the way. They were already prepared for the climb, but they thought that the climbing part had to be done alone. They thought that it was impossible to climb the chain while carrying another person as the intensity of the netherworld's fire increased several times the usual. After all, people could resist some netherworld's fire if they had a strong fire, but no one could resist it in large amount. Therefore, if they were frozen because they were carrying another cultivator, it would spell the doom for both of them as there was no way they would be able to survive the fall. There were a lot of ice shards around the chain and almost all of it came from the cultivator's body that broke apart as soon as they touched the ground. Stop. If you continue to go up with me on your back, we will die. Fan Shuixuan said nervously. Just trust me, it is fine. Yi Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Yi Tianyun kept getting faster as the netherworld's fire did nothing to him. In fact, he was absorbing the netherworld's fire and turned them into mastery for himself. Soon enough, Yi Tianyun was already past the halfway mark for the chain and everyone was shocked by what they saw. The fire didn't even slow Yi Tianyun down, and now, he was so close to reach the top of the chain. The chain will release heavenly yin fire soon and they both will die. A cultivator said as he looked up at Yi Tianyun and Fan Shuixuan. Many cultivator nodded their head as they all agreed with that statement. The heavenly yin fire was hard to resist as it was, and now the heavenly yin fire would be a lot stronger as it was for two people instead of one. The scene that they had waited for finally showed itself as heavenly yin fire burst out of the chain. Be careful, Fan Shuixuan shouted nervously. Yi Tianyun just smiled and kept climbing as heavenly yin fire reached his foot, but it was quickly absorbed to his body. Ding! Successfully absorbed heavenly yin fire. Reward. 2.000 Heavenly Yin Fire Mastery Point. The so-called strongest fire was just a bunch of mastery point for Yi Tianyun. Chapter 788 Inches This is impossible. Fan Shuixuan said as she watched the heavenly yin fire disappeared into the young man's body. She didn't feel any cold sensation from Yi Tianyun himself, meaning that heavenly yin fire didn't have any effect on him. But everyone else on the ground was also shocked. They clearly saw that a large amount of heavenly yin fire came out of the chains, but it immediately vanished as soon as the fire came into contact with the young man's body. That is impossible. Heavenly yin fire is basically the upper tier flames. No one should be able to brush it off just like that. The cultivator on the ground said in awe. They were amazed by the fact that the heavenly yin fire had no effect on the young man's body. But Tianyun didn't care about what happened down there as he took his time climbing the chain. He didn't climb as fast as he could because he was expecting some more heavenly yin fire to obstruct his way, and he wanted to turn it into mastery point. If he wanted to save some time, he could have just used teleportation to reach the top as he could see the place already. Finally, Tianyun reached the end of the chain and helped Fan Shuixuan get back on her feet. Are you the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King? Fan Shuixuan asked with a surprised look on her face. The black robe that covered her face since they met was finally uncovered as she wanted to see Tianyun closely. Unfortunately, I am not the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. Tianyun said while shaking his head. How is that even possible? How could you absorb heavenly yin fire without the power of ancient Netherworld Divine King's bloodline? Fan Shuixuan asked curiously. The world is a vast place. Although ancient Netherworld Divine King is amazing, he wasn't the only capable person out there. But why are you so familiar with ancient Netherworld Divine King's bloodline? Are you his descendant? Tianyun asked inquisitively. He already knew that she was, in fact, the ancient Netherworld Divine King's descendant, but he just wanted her to admit it. I am not the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. Fan Shuixuan said stubbornly. You can't say it out loud or something. Are you going to be punished if you confess? You know that your ancestor would weep if you disown them like that. Tianyun said with a frown on his face. Fan Shuixuan glanced right and left worriedly before whispered. I am sorry, I am ancient Netherworld Divine King's descendant, please help me. Fan Shuixuan said worriedly. She was worried about something, but she couldn't say it to the young man she just met. Don't worry. I didn't mean any harm. Tianyun said casually. Fan Shuixuan sighed as she was expecting that her life would be in danger as soon as she blew her identity that she was indeed the descendant of ancient Netherworld Divine King. I am thankful that you have saved me and even carried me along to the top, but please keep my identity a secret. I will reward you later for your trouble. Fan Shuixuan said pleadingly. Don't worry. You don't have to give me anything. But tell me something, I want to know the situation over at ancient Netherworld Divine Nation. Tianyun asked curiously. He didn't need whatever Fan Shuixuan planned to give him. Another heaven-level martial arts or sacred tool wouldn't be of much use to him right now. Information was the most important thing for now. The situation at ancient Netherworld Divine Nation. Well, just follow me, and you will know soon enough. Fan Shuixuan said as she walked to the gate. But remember this, although I did say earlier that anyone could get out of the tower, you have to pay a large sum of money to actually get out. Are you sure you want to do this? Fan Shuixuan asked indifferently. Don't worry. Getting out of this tower won't be that difficult for me. Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Well, come on then. Follow me. Fan Shuixuan smiled and opened the gate. She immediately walked inside the tower confidently while Tianyun was following closely. Once Tianyun stepped inside the tower, he could feel rippling energy all around him, and he immediately realized that it was recovery energy. At the same time, as soon as the door closed, a group of people soon appeared at the top of the chain wearing a black robe that covered their faces. The black robe seemed similar to the one that Fan Shuixuan wore earlier, but it seemed to be used primarily to conceal their bloodline from the outside world. But clearly, it wouldn't have any effect if they ran into Tianyun. Why did you let the princess enter ancient Netherworld Divine Tower alone? A deep voice was heard among the group. The group fell silent as they didn't have any excuse regarding the situation they were in right now. It doesn't matter now. We have to catch up to her. Now we have to enter ancient Netherworld Divine Tower to catch her. It will be dangerous, and it would be hard to get out of that place. The deep voice was heard once again. Damn it. Why does all this happen now? It won't be easy to take her back. He said, clearly frustrated about the situation. Great Elder. If we go in, we will be trapped inside for sure. Even if we have the ancestors' bloodline, it won't be easy, another cultivator from the group said worriedly. Do you think we have another option now? The person with a deep voice said frustratedly. Everyone else fell silent as they immediately opened the gate and entered the tower. Chapter 789. Tianyun entered the tower and noticed that it was extremely spacious inside. He could see a vast grassland in the distance and a forest not too far from it. He could also see a huge city as big as a capital city at the center of the space. But the most intriguing thing that he could see was the rotating ladder that led to the sky and disappeared behind the clouds. When Tianyun took a step, the sky suddenly shone, and a bright light appeared on his arms. Suddenly, a flame burned on his arms and left a mark that looked like the fire itself. What is this? Tianyun asked confusedly to Fan Shuixuan. This is the flame imprint. In the past, only those who possessed this imprint could come and go inside the ancient netherworld divine nation. But now, this flame imprint was used to get past a level. In other words, without this imprint, you won't be able to get to the higher city inside the tower. Fan Shuixuan said solemnly. I didn't know the rules could be changed like that. Tianyun frowned. It wasn't a surprise that such a thing would happen, but it was sad to see such a powerful ancient netherworld divine nation would fall and be reduced to something like this. Well, it is the truth. A long time ago, ancient netherworld divine nation was the stronger divine nation on Ghost World, but as our bloodline diminished over the year, followed by the death of our tower master, everything changed for the worse. A group of strong people barged in and began killing the disciple with strong bloodline and took over the tower for themselves. Fan Shuixuan said with a glimmer of sadness on her face. Tianyun nodded as he understood the situation at that time. It would be a complete nightmare for the ancient netherworld divine nation at that time. The death of the tower master made it easier for the enemy to take control over the matter as they could just reconstruct the rules for themselves. It was unfortunate, but it was the right decision from the ancient netherworld divine king's bloodline to flee this tower in the past in order to ensure the survival of ancient netherworld divine king's bloodline. Those monsters that drove them out of their own place. Was it the evil spirit race? Tianyun wondered to himself. It was something that Tianyun suspected as soon as he heard Fan Shuixuan's story because only evil spirit race had the ability to check others' bloodlines and took advantage of it. These people had the ability to take over someone else's bloodline, so gaining access to the tower wasn't something difficult for them to do. Wait, evil spirit race. Did you already know about them? I thought no one knew about them. If it weren't for them, our ancient netherworld divine nation wouldn't fall. They killed our best cultivators and even drove our bloodline away from the tower and took over everything that we have. Fan Shuixuan said with a furious look on her face. Of course, I already knew about them. I can sense that there is a lot of evil spirit race residing in that city in front of us. I never expect the ancient netherworld divine tower that once served as the best place to protect humankind from the demon has become the evil spirit race territory. This is ironic. Tianyun frowned. But it doesn't matter, the ancient netherworld divine tower is a top-grade artifact nonetheless, so it should be impossible for the evil spirit race to fool the tool spirit that manages the tower. Tianyun said casually. There is no such thing. The ancient netherworld divine tower didn't have any tool spirit. Fan Shuixuan said with a frown on his face. What? There is no tool spirit in this tower. Was it because your ancestor lacked the power to summon the spirit? Tianyun said with a frown clearer on his face. As he couldn't believe what he just heard. Fan Shuixuan was quiet as she didn't give Tianyun any answer regarding the matter. Now that she thought about it carefully, there was no way a top-notch artifact like ancient netherworld divine tower wouldn't have any management on its own. Certainly, her ancestor would be the inadequate one that failed to wake the tool spirit in the past. The tool spirit wasn't something that you could have attained as soon as a cultivator become the master of the artifact. It was something that had to be awakened by mastering the artifact itself. Since ancient netherworld divine tower didn't have any tool spirit, that meant the previous master of the tower has failed to master the tower. So, this is the main reason why the ancient netherworld divine nation has fallen. The previous master failed to awaken the tool spirit and couldn't react to the invasion of evil spirit race in time. Tianyun said coldly. He was surprised and therefore angry at the spirit race that stole the ancient netherworld divine tower for their own. You now know everything about ancient netherworld divine nation's embarrassing past. I beg of you to help me regain control over ancient netherworld divine tower. If we succeed, you will be rewarded handsomely. Fan Shuixuan said sincerely. Relax, just believe me, I will purge the tower from evil spirit race soon. Tianyun said with a smile on his face. Are you sure? I am looking for someone I can trust. If you aren't up for the task, you are free to go. I won't force you to fight my fight, but if you keep your promise to hide my real identity, I will be grateful. Fan Shuixuan said lightly. She didn't want to force anyone out of their will, which was why she questioned Yi Tianyun's willingness as it was too quick. You are brave, but don't you worry, I don't have any intention to back down. So, tell me everything about the rules in this place so I can decapitate every evil spirit race on this place. Yi Tianyun said as he grabbed Fan Shuixuan's hands. Chapter 790 Fan Shuixuan explained the general rules and various aspects of ancient Netherworld Divine Tower to Yi Tianyun along with the gist of the situation on ancient Netherworld Divine Nation. Yi Tianyun didn't push for any specific matter regarding the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation as he knew that it was up to Fan Shuixuan whether or not she'd trust Yi Tianyun later. This flame imprint turns out to be so useful later. Yi Tianyun said as he looked at the flame imprint on his hand. He got it when he entered the first layer city, and it would be used to challenge the platform later to get access to second layer city. Yi Tianyun learned that the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation had this system from the beginning to filter out the geniuses among cultivators. To reach the 9th layer city, where the Tower Lord resided, he had to clear the challenge of the 8th layer city, where the Elder resided, the 7th layer city, where the Master resided, and the 6th city, where the Deacon resided. Each city was huge, demonstrating that ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was really massive in size. It was no laughing matter as Yi Tianyun realized how powerful ancient Netherworld Divine Nation really was in the past, but he was still not sure how could the ancient Netherworld Divine Nation have fallen. Yi Tianyun also learned that the Tower Lord had the power to kill anyone inside the tower, but he couldn't use it anytime he wanted. Unfortunately, there was no Tower Lord at the moment, so this power was unusable. The strongest cultivator right now inside the tower would be among the elders. The election of Tower Lord wasn't so simple as it required layers of assessment before one could be considered a candidate to become a Tower Lord. The key that became the basis of all criteria would be the pure bloodline. This key was a major factor that would cause the evil spirit race unable to elect themselves to become the Tower Lord as the evil spirit race would never have a pure bloodline. The highest position that evil spirit race could attain inside the tower was only elder rank, but it was still good enough as they had a lot of power to create various rules inside the tower. This was where the flame imprint came in handy as it was used as a sort of currency inside the tower. Any cultivator could use their flame imprint to enjoy a lot of resources and even could use it to gain access to cultivation room according to the level of their flame imprint. The most noticeable use of this flame imprint would be the ability to control the Netherworld's fire, which couldn't be controlled with any normal means otherwise. The only downside from entering the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower was the obligation to pay at least 5 flame imprints for those who wished to leave. 5 flame imprints. The evil spirit race won't let these people leave if that's the case. The evil spirit race would rather absorb their blood essence for themselves before letting such a good cultivator go. Yi Tianyun said to himself. This made sense as those who possessed 5 flame imprints would already be in 5th layer city, meaning they were at least a genius cultivator with a good innate ability. When Yi Tianyun was inside the city, he didn't see anything special as he saw many residents were selling things on the side of the road, like treasures and spirit medicine. The first layer city was a huge place where people grew various spirit herbs, and even demon beast appeared once in a while. Moreover, the spiritual energy inside the tower was far better than the outside, making it a suitable place to grind cultivation. Even so, there were still quite a number of people at the spirit refinement stage as they couldn't find suitable cultivation that could push their cultivation ahead. Yi Tianyun also learned that there was barely any cultivator coming in nowadays. The tower population has been thriving since the ancient Netherworld Divine King's time, so there was no problem there. Moreover, the cultivator with good evaluation had a chance to obtain a good heaven-level martial arts. As a result, the cultivators inside the tower were even more hesitant to leave the tower anyway. That propaganda is the reason why these people are reluctant to leave this place. Little did they know that they were just cattle waiting to be butchered once they are mature enough. Yi Tianyun said as he sighed. He knew that evil spirit race must have been already inside the tower, and they would be at the elder rank right now. Now, we have to climb up one layer at a time. Even if there are elders up there, they shouldn't have absolute control over the tower. We have to rush up and kill the elder to become a tower lord. Once we do, the ancient Netherworld Divine Tower should return to what it was supposed to be. Fan Shuixuan said determinedly. Are you already aware that your elder is an evil spirit race? Yi Tianyun wondered. I had my suspicion in the past, but there is no way to really prove it, especially with their cultivation being so high. I can hide my own bloodline, but it was still tough to do so. Fan Shuixuan explained. I understand. Now we must make haste. I don't have much time here. Yi Tianyun said, and Fan Shuixuan nodded before walking towards the center of the city. A huge platform was in the center of the city, and many people were already fighting there. Killing the opponent or throwing them off of the platform would earn you a flame imprint. If you were out of flame imprint, you no longer had the right to challenge others and had to wait until you got another flame imprint. It wasn't that long after Yi Tianyun walked towards the center of the city, but the iron necklace on his chest began to glow red, meaning that an evil spirit race cultivator was nearby. He looked around and noticed a dozen of cultivators that might be evil spirit race cultivators on the side. They were just silently watching the participant on the platform instead of joining the fight. Yi Tianyun immediately jumped onto the platform and challenged one of the evil spirit race to be his opponent. You, come here and duel me. Yi Tianyun said confidently. Obviously, Fan Shuixuan was startled by what Yi Tianyun did, as she didn't understand why Yi Tianyun decided to make a move right away instead of assessing the situation at hand first.